Hi, my name is Reiko. I'm the manager curator of Revolution Books here. And I wanted to welcome all of you to this press conference to defend Revolution Books. Please give a hand to all of you people who came out. Yeah. So I welcome all of you. I wanted to recognize authors Julia Shears and Ruth Sasaki. Where's Ruth? And there she is. And Berkeley Poet Laureate Rafael Jesus Gonzalez. And I welcome all of you who came to stand with Revolution Books. Those of you who treasure critical thinking, the importance of knowing history, of art, of science, of books that reveal the great diversity of humanity and the planet. We come together at the end of a summer of overt white supremacy, mass shootings, concentration camps, overtly fascist movements openly condoned by the Trump regime. Here at Revolution Books, we are the political, intellectual, and cultural center of a movement for an actual revolution. And we are not intimidated, and we are not going anywhere. This bookstore is open 7 days a week. And I wanted to invite everybody to take our calendar of exciting upcoming events. Now, some recent history. In the past 2 years, since Trump was elected, Revolution Books had been the target of fascists who have blocked, menaced our store, pushed, shoved, and even threatened to burn it down. And this is the 11th time. But we are not alone. In 2018, a lecture at Groundworks bookstore in San Diego was disrupted by Identity Europa, and the store was subsequently a target of a break-in and arson. There has been a drag queen story hour going on in Denver, and fascists have also disrupted and targeted that. And in Washington, D.C., at the bookstore Politics and Prose, a reading by the author Jonathan Metzl was disrupted by Identity Europa. They marched into the store singing, "This land is our land." So ugly incidents like these are on the rise. Now, they're reminiscent of Nazi Germany in 1933, when university students began a campaign of book burning. And the works of Jewish people, communists, anarchists, socialists, pacifists, LGBTQ, and others were deemed un-German by the Third Reich and were publicly destroyed. And this must never happen again. And all of you and all of us and everyone else should see to that. Now I want to bring up Rafael Kadaris, who is from the National Revolution Tour, and he's going to talk more about Revolution Books and our movement. And then we have statements of support by various people here that we are so happy to welcome.
So what's up, everyone? I'm really excited to be here. I'm excited to see all of you. I'm excited about the very large anti-fascist march that's marching down Telegraph right now. So I'm going to start with a poem from Nazi Germany. First they came for the communists, but I didn't say anything because I wasn't a communist. Then they came for the trade unionists, but I didn't say anything because I wasn't a trade unionist. Then they came for the Jews, but I didn't speak up because I wasn't Jewish. And then they came for me, and by that time there was no one left to speak up. How much do these words from Pastor Niemöller echo right now? After a summer of white supremacist terror unleashed from the Oval Office and the muzzles of AR-15s. And look at what has happened over the last couple years. They've banned Muslims. They've said that Jewish people who don't vote for Republicans are disloyal. They've told congresswomen of color to go back where they came from. They've set up concentration camps where children and others are tortured and even denied vaccines. They've carried out Gestapo-style ICE raids, leaving children to come home from school and find out that their parents are gone. They've packed the courts with fascists and are aiming to take away women's rights to abortion. They've threatened whole countries with nuclear war and stripped away one environmental protection after another at exactly the moment that humanity and the planet stand on the brink of going past the point of no return when it comes to climate change. And yes, they are coming for the communists right here at Revolution Books. All this, while way too many people turn their head away because it's not happening to me, or because they're not willing to take risks and make sacrifices and step outside of their comfort zone to actually stop this fascism. We, all of us here in this room, all of the people marching today, we are here today because we will not be silent in the face of these attacks. We will not be like those good Germans who did nothing while their Jewish neighbors were rounded up, while Hitler Youth burned communists or un-German books, and Nazi brown shirts rampaged through Jewish neighborhoods, ransacking Jewish businesses. We will not normalize this. We will not accommodate, and no, we will not collaborate. At the same time, we have to pull the lens back and ask a deeper question. What kind of system created monsters like Donald Trump, Mike Pence, and the people you saw in those videos attacking Revolution Books? Is this an aberration from America and American democracy, or is this just a grotesque concentration of everything ugly about this country since it was founded on slavery and genocide? As Bob Avakian put it, there is a direct line from the Confederacy to the fascists of today. What kind of system produced this fascism? A system whose normal workings means 1,000 people killed by police every year and 2.5 million people in prison in this so-called land of the free. It's 1 in 4 women sexually assaulted on every college campus. It's Barack Obama who deported more immigrants than anyone else and drone-bombed 7 countries. It's imperialist wars and coups carried out in Latin America, Africa, Asia, and the Middle East, whether it's Democrats or Republicans in the White House. It's environmental destruction which will continue and get worse as long as you have capitalism, a system based on the competitive chase for the highest profit. It's 10 million children dying of starvation and preventable disease in the third world, and 65 million refugees. So when these, let me pause for a sec, get some water. So when these no to Marxism people accuse Revolution Books of being anti-American communists organizing for a revolution to overthrow this system, we say, hell yes we are. Sorry, my phone is ringing. Let me turn this off. Sochi's calling me. She's out there at the protest marching right now. All right, let me repeat that. So when these no to Marxism people accuse Revolution Books of being anti-American communists organizing a revolution to overthrow this system, we say, hell yes we are. As the quote from Bob Avakian on the wall of the store says, let's get down to basics. We need a revolution. Anything else in the final analysis is bullshit. At the core of this bookstore is the new communism developed by Bob Avakian and the vision of a radically new and much better society that we could start building day one after a revolution. And you could read about it in this book, The Constitution for the New Socialist Republic in North America, which Avakian wrote. For those who don't know Bob Avakian, he actually grew up right here in Berkeley, California. He went to Berkeley High, was at UC Berkeley, was active in the free speech movement, the struggles at People's Park, the Richmond oil refineries, and he really got first turned on to revolution and communism working with the Black Panther Party. You can read more about this in his memoir, which we also carry at the bookstore, From Ike to Mao and Beyond, and you see the transformation captured in the title of this book right here. And by the way, I should say that it is the radical legacy, the radical history, it is the radical history and legacy of Berkeley, this whole experience that I'm talking about that has made Revolution Books a target for these fascists. Here I also want to add that unlike a lot of people from that generation, Avakian never sold out on revolution, never gave up, and never got readjusted to the injustice of the system, which so many people did. and has actually spent decades going to work really digging into the experience of socialist society, what was achieved in these previous revolutions, and also what the problems were, and on that basis has actually developed a new synthesis of revolution, of socialism, and of communism, which builds on the core elements of Marxism, but also breaks with certain unscientific aspects. One of the key parts of this new synthesis, one of the key parts of this new communism, is a deeper appreciation for the relation between knowing and changing the world. As Andy Z said, the spokesperson for Revolution Books, he said, Revolution Books takes both parts of its name very seriously, revolution and books. This has to do with the fact that revolution, the kind of revolution we're talking about, is not some type of utopian ideal that we just want to impose on society. It's a revolution whose need and basis actually arises from a deep analysis of how the system actually works and the possibilities for change that lie within it. So the more that you actually understand about the world, the more that you actually understand about the system and how it functions, the more that you actually can see the possibility for that type of radical change. And all of the books in this bookstore contribute to that understanding of the world. The African American history, the Chicano history, and Asian American history, the history and analysis of the Caribbean, Mexico, Latin America, of imperialism, the philosophy, the science section, all of this. And yes, the poetry and the fiction section as well. And I will say, one of the quotes I love from the book Basics, which we also carry over there from Baba Vakian, is, I have to read this so I get it right. It is very dangerous to lead a Marxist movement or be the leader of a socialist state if you don't have a poetic spirit, or at least a poetic side. And I will say that spirit infuses everything about this bookstore. So yes, it's no wonder these people have attacked Revolution Books. We stand for art and poetry. They stand for jingoism and Chick-fil-A. We stand for critical thinking and the scientific method. They stand for blind obedience and willful ignorance. They're for America first. We're for what those two quotes on the wall on the upper left-hand corner say. American lives are not more important than other people's lives. And internationalism, the whole world comes first. So let me close by saying that it really matters that we're all here, whether we are communists or not, whether we are for revolution or reform, that we are standing together today from our diverse perspectives in defense of Revolution Books. And let's go forward from here to get even more people off of the sidelines and into the streets to sound the alarm and actually stop this fascism and drive them from power. Enough waiting for 2020 and some savior from the Democratic Party while the atrocities of this regime get worse and worse. Let's do what they did in Puerto Rico last month. Let's do what they are doing in Hong Kong right now. If not us, then who? If not now, then when? Thank you.
Thank you, Rafa. Again, thanks to everyone who came here, and especially people who are making statements for the bookstore. We'll keep it rolling along. Did you like that part about the poetic spirit? So first, I want to welcome the Berkeley Poet Laureate, Rafael Jesus Gonzalez. Welcome, Rafael.
Thank you very much. And it's good to be here. Let's see if I did not leave behind my statement, as I am prone sometimes to do. I didn't give it to anyone here. Anyway, my statement, such it would be. There you go. See. Angels look after me. If a government and its economics are unjust, cruel, and threaten to harm the earth, it would be not only unpatriotic, but villainous to not oppose them. If the poet, the artist, the scientist, the citizen remain silent, we betray our integrity, our responsibility, and our calling. Revolution Books does the city of Berkeley proud as a center of learning and a voice in the service of justice and of the earth. And that's where we are now. As citizens of a country that claims to be free, that claimed for its very inception to be free, then we must take that seriously. In spite of the fact that America, let me be clear, the United States of America has never been free. When we say America, it's not this United States that the name refers to, but the whole continent of North America, Central America, and South America. American is everything from Alaska to Patagonia. So let's start by making our language true. We talk, if you've heard the word revolution here, you will continually hear it. And it should not be a wishful thought. It should be what guides our every action, every day, and our thought. Revolution means a quick change. And that change has to be very, very quick because the future is now. The earth itself is fast becoming unsustainable to human life. What we're suffering under is what the earth has been suffering under ever since the beginning of the 15th century, so the 16th century. The economics of empire. The economics of empire, popularly known as capitalism, depend upon two things. The unbridled rape of the earth for raw materials to turn into consumable goods, and the slave labor to turn them into consumable goods profitably for the wealth of the selected few who direct the raping of the earth and the enslaving of other people. Now we reach a point of globalization. Globalization was defined by our recent previous government as the imposition of capitalism on a global scale. That is not what capitalism is. Capitalism is the awareness that we are one globe, that we are one earth, and where you abuse one part of the earth, you abuse it all, because it all is a continuum. Borders are arbitrary little lines drawn by the power of nations, and borders should not exist. The earth does not recognize borders. There may be mountain ranges, there may be rivers, and there may be ravines, but there are no borders. And no borders should be in our minds. Our minds should have no borders. And it is literature, and it is the art, it is the music, and it is science that breaks down the borders that are going to save us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So, from day one, I think that these attacks originated when there were, 50 or so fascists in the hallway banging on our windows. Our friends from the Animal Rights Center came and stood in the face of these fascists, silent and strong. And they're here once again to give a statement. Please welcome Kathy. Kathy.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for all of you being here. We are so close, we didn't have to come very far. We're at the Berkeley Animal Rights Center in this same shopping mall. And if any fascists want to show up today, we've got 30 people there who will come right out and stand here again. And that's simply because we're sharing these same values of standing up against violence and against systemic injustice. So thank you for what you shared, because I absolutely agree that anytime you're hurting one part of the earth or one vulnerable community, it's affecting everyone. And what's happening to any vulnerable population affects all of us. So we need to stand up and act up now. And it's the same reason that we're involved in human rights and animal rights issues. So we'll continue to be here as much as we're needed. We'll continue to share a message of nonviolence and stand up for justice. And we hope that you'll join us as well if you're around Berkeley today, because this could be needed today. So we'll be around from the Berkeley Animal Rights Center, and you'll have our continued support.
Yeah, thanks so much. So let's see. I wanted to welcome Julia Shears. Do people know who she is? I saw her book right here. Julia Shears is the author of books, including this one, Jesus Land, and we are so happy to welcome her here today.
Thanks. Thank you. That's great. So I just popped by with my husband and my 10-year-old daughter and was asked to give a couple words of support for the bookstore. And I just want to say, as a local author, and I see a lot of local authors at the store represented on these shelves, Revolution Books was very supportive. When my memoir, Jesus Land, first came out, which questions the white mainstream narrative of this country. It's about growing up in rural Indiana in an environment that was very racist and yet very religious. So there was a huge crowd. And I just want to say that bookstores are important, right? They are essential for democracy. They are bastions of free thought and should be for free speech, and it should be protected. They're wonderful. I can't imagine a world without bookstores that question, especially what's happening now in our country, the mainstream narrative and the narrative that's being imposed on us. So thank you for this bookstore and for standing up to fascism. And I hope they show up, because I'm getting anxious.
Wonderful. So I know there's some people who time is of the essence. And so I wanted to say the next three statements of support. I'd like to call up author Ruth Sasaki, musician and activist Carol Denny, and the incredible and unique Alex Yuen, in that order. Ruth, would you like to come up and give a statement? Okay, Carol, would you like to come up and give a statement?
Hi, I'm Carol Denny, and thank you so much for the honor of allowing me to express my support for this bookstore. I'm the editor of the Pepper Spray Times, now in its 30th or 40th year, depending on which iteration you've ever seen. And I'm a local musician, and I'm so glad to have our poet laureate here also speaking in support, because gotta say, I came here in 1972 as a UC Berkeley student, and between the racism and the sexism, it was a confusing place to think you were getting an education. But the bookstores in Berkeley were everywhere, and you could always find a job, a poorly paid one, but even so, you learned so much. You worked with the greatest people, and if your coworkers were mistreated, what happened with me was we all would walk off together. So I had a different kind of education from the bookstores I worked in and all of the jobs I had all over Berkeley about unions and the fact that even if you don't have an actual union, union spirit and solidarity can mean so much. And I see it here today. One of our city council representatives just walked in. I'm just so thrilled with this crowd. So I just wanted to say, I'm not a religious person at all. But if I had to choose something that was sacred to me, it would be bookstores, especially bookstores that do what this bookstore does, which is make room in the evenings for events, poetry readings, for panels of people speaking about controversial issues, and even has a tour to bring out ideas that other people might consider controversial, but as you put so well, needs to be a part of the conversation we have today. Thank you guys so much for being here.
Thank you. So I'd like to invite Alex Yu in. If you don't know Alex, they are the Grand Marshal of SF Pride. Please welcome Alex.
What up, people? Don't you know I'm talking about a revolution? Sounds like. Don't you know I'm talking about a revolution? Sounds like. Right. We should not be whispering in this time, right? Yeah. Absolutely not. We are talking about a revolution. We are talking about revolution books. This place should not go anywhere and be burned down by anyone, and definitely not by these people. I will thank you, all of you, for the hard work that you do in order to get messages out to our community and allow us to have our authentic voice. It's important for us to think the way that we want to think. We are in the most intelligent city in this country, if not the world. And if we cannot have critical thought, then where else can we have it but here? And if somebody wants to come and burn this down, then they got to get past all of us as a front line before they fucking do it. As we've said, there is so much representation around this room. And you can feel the energy, and you can feel the energy of our queer ancestors before us. You can feel the energy of our ancestors before us in all of these books. Not everybody's alive, but reading their work brings them alive. So why would you do something to any bookstore in this United States when we really don't have that many of them? And what are you going to do? Go out online and bring down everybody's website so we don't read the messages? That's ridiculous. So I just wanted to share with you the message that they sent their people. I don't know if all of you are on Facebook and all of you have read this, but it's nonsense. And it has to stop. And this is where the fear and intimidation gets started. And I see some of our little ones around. They get intimidated, and then they get on board because that's what they're being taught. And it's not okay. Some of the rhetoric that they said. This event is geared to protest the Antifa and communist corruption of Berkeley. What the fuck? Right? So tell me one thing. Antifa. I'm so tired of people saying Antifa is a group. Antifa is all of us. Anti-fascist. That's what Antifa is. So when you hear people put us in a group, thank you. Because there's thousands and millions of us, and thank you very much. Now, when you get down to a law and you want to bring against a terrorist act against us, now you want to make us a law and say that we cannot protest? Well, then that's when you're starting to hit the front line again, and that's when our shit should be in the streets, and our feet should be in the street until change happens. We cannot sit idle anymore, people. Like Rafi was saying, they are coming after us. You may not think you're represented now, but you will be represented in some way or another when they start taking things away from you. You may be sitting comfortable right now because you're not of color, because you're not Latinx, because you don't have a gender that has tits on it, because you aren't this or you aren't that. But you may be sitting comfortable right now, but believe me, if we keep this fascist in the White House, you will not be so comfortable. So why aren't you out in the streets all the time like Hong Kong and like Puerto Rico and like other tiny, tiny, tiny countries and cities that are saying, this is my voice, this is my choice, and fuck you, we're not doing anything different. Why aren't we out there? Why aren't we more mad? We should be freaking mad, people, because they are taking away our rights and this is not okay. They have a blank check to do whatever the hell they want to do, and we have the highest person in the land, if not in the country, giving them the pen to write that check. And it is not okay. I see a lot of non-melon people sitting here. I see you guys as my ally. I see you walking up and protecting me when I get stopped at the airport and asking, what did they do? Why are they being stopped? I get stopped at the airport every single freaking time by TSA, and now I see they have a law where you can go up against them and say they didn't treat me well. But this is what I'm saying about allies. We see things happen every day, even in the grocery store. Sometimes the grocer will go, can I help you? And you're standing right there, you're a person of color, and they're going, I can help, can I help the next person? And I always have to say, what, you didn't see me? So this is what I'm saying. Allies are important. We have some movements that we have to do. We have your feet that needs to be in the street. And if you know one or two friends that aren't here today that should be here today, get them to come next time. Get them to write their representation and say this is not okay. Because, you know, they all are based by their money, right? So if you hit them with their pocket, we can get them. The other thing that they said, these terrorists must be protested. And this is the person who's organizing. I plan to protest them. Revolution Books, a communist, anti-American store, has been harassing my events, untrue, and even last year came to my event showing communist books in my people's faces, untrue, cussing at them, untrue, and attacking them looking for trouble, untrue. Do you know how many people man these tables? Raise your hand when you man the table. 1 or 2 people. How the heck do they have time to be running around to all your asses and saying, harassing you? They don't. So that's false. So this is what I mean. It's this really false rhetoric that they want to put out there so we can seem, or whoever it is, the opposition can seem as the devils. And I want to read you one more thing. So this one brother writes him back, and writes him back with his communist flag, and says something really poetic and very intelligent, and you know what she does? Calls him commie, scum, bastard. That's her response to this beautiful, eloquent reason of why he believes in the way that he believes. So this is what I mean. There's no intellect conversation that's happening. I'm all for sitting at the table with somebody who opposes me. I want to know what that's like. I want to know what you're thinking. We may walk away not agreeing with each other, but at least we had that dialogue. At least that was open and honest, and I get you now, or I don't, but we walk away. Right? So the thing is what I'm saying is, it's not about us and them. It's about our beliefs and what we stand strong to believe in. We are people with hearts. We have a humanistic brain. We have a humanistic soul. We want people to be happy, healthy, and ready to do the next thing of their choice. We do not want our children in caves, and that's what I call them, because at nighttime, there's no lights. Think about that. Just take that in for a moment. And when the ones that they want to punish their parents, there's all lights. They don't get to sleep. They are trying to send a message to the people who are already here, where other people can't see that message. So why send that message? Take care of them the way you need to take care of them. When people say that black lives don't matter, why not? Ask, why not? Get in a dialogue. When people say that Latinx are rapists and need to go back to where they come from, ask them why. When they say queer people are not worth my time, ask them why. Get in a healthy debate with these people. Don't run away. And if they don't agree, you don't agree, great. but at least you started the dialogue. I think dialogues are really important, just like all these books around us. We read them, we share the thoughts of the author, we have dialogues about them, we even have book clubs. How about that? Right? So I'm going to leave you with this. I said nothing that I wanted to say, sorry. But I am going to leave you with this. I, Alex Yuen, am proud and not fucking intimidated. And that's the message that all of us should be carrying. We are proud people, and we are not intimidated. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So yes to all of that. And this is a time to stand up, and this is a time for heroes. None of us should tolerate any of what is happening. The children being held in cages, people being shot down in the streets, people being silenced, women being denied abortion, denied the right to decide their own destiny. None of that is acceptable. So some people have said, when these things happen in Berkeley, some people, including some people with a little bit of power, have said, oh, just ignore these fascists and they'll go away. Don't protest, just ignore them. Well, fortunately, a lot of people said, hell no, we're gonna stand up, we're gonna fight. And in that spirit, I wanna welcome Councilmember Cheryl Davila. Berkeley City Council. Oh, yes.
I'm always vertically challenged. Yeah, thank you all for being here. It's really important that we all stand in solidarity to protect our freedom of speech, no matter what. You know, we have all these isms coming at us right now that have been behind the doors, that are now back in the forefront because of the President of the United States. That's the worst. I won't say the word I want to use, but it starts with the S and ends with the T that's ever happened in my lifetime, right? It's just incredible. Every day people are getting killed on the streets. For what? For hate. We need to love each other. We need to unite, and we need to stand up and resist and be together, united. Because separation isn't moving us forward. That's what's kept this country the way it is this whole time, my whole life. Being a black person in America hasn't changed, not me being a council member at all. I still have to deal with all the same isms that I've had to deal with my entire life. So now is the time to make the change. Now is the time to really think about how we can all support each other, step out of our boxes, step into the next block and say hello to your neighbors. Stand up for the bookstores. I mean, bookstores are really a small commodity right now. They're really struggling, and this is one of the best ones we have in Berkeley, and it's been here for quite some time. So let's give it to Revolution Books. We might not all agree on the topics, but we should all have a right to read them and educate ourselves. We can't hold back. We have to be strong. We have to have courage. We have to, you know, treat everyone with respect, love, and dignity. That means our unhoused. That means our RV dwellers. That means our bookstores. That means everybody. Black, white, green, yellow, purple. You know, these are some rough times, and we can get through it. You know, our history is our history, and that's what makes us strong, right? So we just need to move forward and be united, speak up, resist, and love, and not hate. Not hate anybody. We're not here to hate. We're here to, like, love and educate and be friends with one another. Say hello to a stranger. Turn around and say, hey, I love you, to the next person. Some people never hear those words, right? Some people are always met with resistance. They're not always welcomed. We need to start welcoming everybody, every bookstore, every person on the street, and try to find out what's going on in their lives and try to make their lives better, you know? And yeah, that's all I have to say right now. Thank you.
We love you. So I just want to say we have other statements that we might read a little bit later, but I wanted to just let people know that Bolerium Books in San Francisco made a video statement. Moe's Books has made a statement. City Lights has supported us online. Small press distributors, Regent Press, Heyday have all contributed books for our book sale to benefit the revolution. So I wanted to give a shout out to all these people. And Games of Berkeley. And I don't see him right now, but Bob from the Berkeley Public Library store down the hall was also here. And we have a very nice statement given to us by our very good friend Joyce Carol Oates. So we really appreciate that and you know, appreciate her support. So I wanted to welcome Jeff Mcclure of Socialist Action, who would like to give a statement.
Thanks. We have a few things in common with Revolution Books. We're against all imperialist war. We're for the abolition of the military budget. We're for Black lives. We're for self-determination of all oppressed people. We are against racism, sexism, homophobia, climate destruction. We are for the best aspirations of humanity for a better world. We are for the abolition of the trillion-dollar military budget. Another thing we have in common, among the few, is that we think that all of these evils are not accidents that can be changed by electing one party or another of the capitalist class, but the system is the problem. Our differences with Revolution Books are subordinate today to building a united front of everyone against the fascist threat physically today and everywhere else in this country. If we can't unite on that basis, then unity is a fraud. I happen to be a candidate for President of the United States. If elected, Revolution Books will have the front seat in the White House and share with the revolutionary working class of the world, building a new society free from capitalist exploitation, oppression, hatred, and racism. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
So I wanted to see if anyone else wanted to give a statement, and I wanted to respectfully decline the front seat at the White House, but appreciate the spirit in which it was given. Did anyone else come here today to give a statement in support of the bookstore? Okay, come on up, sir.
Hello, my name is Joel, and my wife and I are here. We own the Rebound bookstore over in San Rafael, and we're shoulder to shoulder with you. This is the second or third time I've been out here on the call that we get online. This has been a long time struggle for me. My grandfather was an organizer with the Garment Workers Union in 1913 in New York. My grandmother was a suffragette in 1918. My grandparents were, my parents, my mom brought me up and said, never cross a picket line and finish your vegetables. So this has been the story of my life. I have a story to tell you about my bookstore that happened. We had a guy that came in the bookstore. We carry all kinds of books. We have right-wing books, left-wing books. It's an open bookstore. We had a guy come in the store who was a right-wing supporter. He drove a motorcycle. He was about this tall, and he had a gravelly voice, had one of those Yosemite Sam mustaches, bow-legged. He came in and he said Ann Coulter and Hannity was not ring enough for them. And he said, "Do you have anything else?" He talked like Yosemite Sam. Was a funny little guy. He says, "You have anything else?" I said, "Well, you've got what we see on the shelf there." He says, my wife went up to him and said, "You know, we're liberals. We're not." He says, "Oh, hell yeah! All you people own bookstores. You're all liberals." And I said, "Well, doesn't it occur to you that all the people who are actually defending the things that you believe in are always liberals?" The guy went in a clusterfuck. I mean, he just walked out, never saw him again. But maybe that was the right thing to do. So a confrontation with these people to confront their fears and confront their presumptions at the right moment is exactly the right thing to do. So if you have a friend or if you have a comrade or you have somebody in your community who is marginal, these people are operating on the basis of fear. What they're afraid of is that their illusions about their participation in the country will be destroyed. They can't accept the fact that they are not in power. They can't accept the fact that they're punching a time clock, most of them. And there's only two classes in this country. You own the motherfucker or you work for it. And they cannot comprehend that the guy who runs the business is not going to pat them on the back and say, "You're a good guy." He's going to cut them off, take their job away, and send it to another country. They're afraid of learning that fact is real, which will make them extremely working class. They're future communists, I think. So confronting those people to accept the fact that their presumptions are not what's actually going on is an important in eroding those conclusions. They live on the idea that their grandchildren will get a chance to fuck over the guy who's fucking them over. That's the American dream. That dream is inherently wrong. The idea that you're dreaming that somebody will fuck somebody else over, that's what's wrong with capitalism.
I wanted to read a few short statements, but I don't have them with me. Are they over there? There's some paper by the back counter there.
Yes.
Oh, I did want to say that, is Aaron here? I did want to say that I got this video this morning when I woke up. I saw this video on my phone, and it was a punk concert that happened last night in Oakland. And at the end of this band Fang, at the end of their set, they encouraged everybody to come to Revolution Books and oppose the fascists.
Any Fang fans here?
Any Fang fans here? Okay. So we have a few short statements I just thought I'd read. This one is the Northern California Independent Booksellers Association encourages open and peaceful dialogue conducted in an atmosphere of respect and civility concerning ideas and philosophies, especially when it relates to free speech. Bookstores of all stripes are repositories and channels for ideas and must be protected. That was from the NCIBA, which we're a member of. Ricky Vincent, who's a professor at Cal here, and he's also KPFA radio host and author of the book Party Music, which we have here, sent us this statement. He said he was traveling with his family. Dang, he couldn't be here. Revolution Books is a Bay Area treasure, an essential source for the voices of change in our corrupted new fascist society today. Revolution Books deserves to be protected and celebrated now more than ever. Dewey Crumpler, artist, muralist, and professor at San Francisco Art Institute, said, "I want to extend my support for the ongoing great work of this bookstore and all independent bookstores against the right-wing deniers of human liberty. Revolution Books has always stood for freedom through knowledge and the right of all peoples." Let's see. There was a really wonderful thing that happened. Chaitali Sen, who is an author, put up a statement online, and it's been signed by maybe more today. I actually haven't checked, but it's been signed by 15 or so authors from around the country, and some of whom who have read here. And this is the statement. "As fascists once again threaten Revolution Books in Berkeley, while our government expands its war on truth, knowledge, and science, as fascism here and around the world endangers the lives and futures of millions of people, we who write to connect humanity and inspire empathy, to provoke critical thought and debate, to record the richness and diversity of human experience and transform it, to bring a better world into being through the beauty and power of language, we stand unequivocally with Revolution Books against repeated assaults that conjure up a legacy of Nazi book burnings. We call on everyone with a poetic spirit and a hunger for justice to defend this radical and necessary bookstore. We pledge to resist the horror of a fascist America. Our hearts are with Revolution Books."
So I just wanted to read another statement that we just got from a group of Iranian women, former political prisoners, who are communists from Iran. "As a group of women ex-political prisoners forced to come in exile, we stand with you wholeheartedly against the ascendancy of fascism here and all around the world, and support Revolution Books for what it stands for and represents, and promotes the world." I'm sorry, I'm trying to read this. "The world needs this, and we will echo your sound and message wherever we are. Our experience shows us that if we do not stand up and defeat fascism, the future of humanity will be in jeopardy. It is this internationalism that revolution represents, the way to go forward to emancipate humanity. Thanks for what you are doing. No to fascism, no to imperialism, yes to new communist revolutions." And that's from supporters of the Communist Party of Iran, MLM. Thank you. We have one statement that I'll read in Spanish from an immigrant woman, an immigrant rights activist in the mission. "Como mujer inmigrante, activista en la área de la Bahía, me solidarizó con el Bookstore Revolución, rechazó tajantemente los grupos nacionalistas supremacistas de odio, que intentan acabar con este espacio que representan un espacio de ideas revolucionarias dirigidas a un mundo sin fronteras, a un mundo donde respeta la decisión de la mujer sobre su cuerpo y sobre su vida, donde las comunidades LGBTQ tienen pleno derecho a expresarse y ser valorados, que el medio ambiente debe ser cuidado y representado, y para que, oh, it sounds like there's the rally's coming out here. So I'm just gonna wrap up this statement right here, This is an important statement from, we'll put it up on our website, Revolution Books. You should go to Revolution Books website. What we're hearing right now for people who are watching on the live stream is we are hearing the sounds of the protests which has just arrived outside of Revolution Books. And what we want everyone to do right now, so there's a protest of fascists that started at Sprout Plaza with their No to Marxism rally. They started at 12 o'clock, and there's a group of anti-fascists countering them and in the hallway outside here preventing them from coming to Revolution Books. So we want to call on people. We're going to wrap up this press conference. Reiko is going to say another thing to wrap it up, and then we want people to who want to stick around in Revolution Books to while these people are out here trying to attack the bookstore, we want people to actually browse the books here in the bookstore, find out more about this revolution and all the books in this store, and also to go outside and be part of the defense of this bookstore. And let's join together as we go forward and actually call, as Reiko said, calling many more people off of the sidelines and into the streets to stop a fascist America. So thank you everyone for coming.
Someone talked about how bookstores pay very poorly. We actually want you all to know that Revolution Books is all volunteer. We do it for love. We do it for revolution. And we welcome everybody who wants to volunteer with our bookstore. And please, donate to our bookstore. Revolutionbooks.org is where you can donate. Thank you all for coming. Let's go out.
One more quick thing on the last announcement about donating to Revolution Books. We want to put out a special Defend Revolution Books challenge to everyone. Make a pledge to donate to Revolution Books for every fascist that shows up at this store. Make it $10, $20, $100 for every fascist. Let's make